So Phaedra, let me hand it over to you. Perhaps you could share with us some of the on-the-ground critical steps that we should be thinking about and taking for November.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gabby, and thank you to the Center for Common Ground for having Working America be a part of this panel. Again, my name is Phaedra Jackson. I'm the Deputy Campaigns Director for Working America. For those of you who may not be as familiar with Working America, we are the community affiliate of the AFL-CIO, and so the body of work that we do is to organize folks who don't have access to a union on their job and organize them around social and economic equality. And so Working America is a nationwide organization. We've got about 3.5 million members throughout the country, many of them in the states that we are prioritizing here. So in Texas, in Georgia, in North Carolina, and Arizona, we're actually having conversations right now with those folks. And so the perspective that I really want to bring to this panel is just what we're learning. Working America is traditionally a boots on the ground, door-to-door canvas operation. We call ourselves the Canvas Marines, and our folks go out into communities and we're building relationships with folks like year round, right? And we were geared up to do that for 2020, and then COVID-19 happened, and we had to very quickly pivot and figure out how do we still have these conversations with voters in a meaningful and impactful way when we can't go and knock on their door and meet them at their doorstep. And so what Working America has done is really focused on a membership model that allows us to build these unique relationships based and centered on folks, the issues that they care the most about, and kind of connecting the dots with those issues and their participation civically. And so we wanted to figure out what are the best ways that we can do this. And one of the things we did very quickly was start to converse with folks just about COVID-19, right? How are people experiencing the impacts of COVID-19? We were able to identify a group of folks who were least likely to be practicing social distancing, least likely to be following guidelines. We had conversations with those folks. We did an actual clinical test. So we took a baseline of folks who we knew were most likely not practicing. We had conversations via text. We had two-way organizing conversations with folks, and we followed up to see which of those folks were really responding to that conversation. We then were able to measure that over 105,000 folks changed their behavior in regards to social distancing, and 300,000 folks started wearing face masks. And so what we want to take away from this is, how do we start to build that relationship, right? Like at some point, we will continue, we have a whole chain of communication in which we are conversing with these voters and having these conversations. But what we're finding is the most urgent need right now is to get access to information. We all know that folks there's no unified message coming nationally from our administration as to what folks should be doing in the wake of COVID-19. And so as we're able to build this relationship, as we're able to see measurable impacts on the conversations that we're having, we're then able to start to figure out how we can apply this same information in these same modes of contact and communication as we go through the 2020 electoral cycle. So how are we going to be able to use this information to make sure people know their rights when it comes to voting, to know their options when it comes to accessing a ballot by mail? And I want to say that to answer your question of what we should be doing now, the biggest thing is to start now, right? Like I said, Working America, we were geared up to put boots on the ground and knock on doors, and we had to just figure out what to do next. So start now, start talking to your members, start talking to the general public and figuring out what's the mode of communication and how you're going to be able to contact people, and then scale that to the scale we need if we're not able to go on the doors and talk to them face to face. Build and deepen your relationships with voters, right? So we're not really talking about elections right now, and voters don't really want to hear about elections right now, but what we are saying is, what is the most urgent need for you? For many voters, it's economic recovery and access to unemployment benefits. And so we've been directly connecting folks to information about how they can apply for unemployment insurance, or how they can access healthcare because they've lost their jobs. And then, you know, the goal will be to talk to them about access to barriers at the ballot box, and how those, connecting the dots so that they know how those issues in voting directly impact their lives. So thank you.